You know when you buy something that's new and shiny and you're very excited and you buy it based on what the manufacturer is telling you and all the things that it promises and all the things you believe that it's going to give you, and then there's this odd middle ground of not quite, and then sometimes, rarely, thankfully, there are times when it's like, wait, what? Hi, it's Stu once again from 3B, and today I want to talk a little bit more about my adventures with Denon. Now, I've had a lot of experience with Denon. I've foolishly had their AV amps for many years. I've had Denon and Marantz, and they're both sort of cousins in a way. They both share a lot of the same DNA. I've had Pioneer, Sony, loads. But Denon has been the one that I've kind of stuck with because they've offered some incredible technology and great sort of value in terms of bang for buck. This isn't a review of the 6700H or the 6400H I had before that. I did have the 6400H. I had it for about a week, and the problem arose where the two outputs, when they were both connected to an HDMI, when a HDMI cable was connected to both of those outputs, and it's a dual output, so it should be able to automatically detect which screen it's outputting to, whether it's my projector or my TV. But if both were connected at the same time, not necessarily on, it would have issues. It would flicker, it would crap out, it would drop out, and not just sort of once or twice. This would be every few seconds. And I thought, well, maybe it's just an issue with this one. So I chose I returned the 6400H and then received a 6700H. I paid a bit more and got the 6700H. And I thought, well, you know, better components, higher quality. Maybe the issues that were there with that HDMI board will not be there in the 6700. Yeah, you'd think that, wouldn't you? But sadly, that's not been the case. And the other sad fact is not only is that issue still there with the two outputs, one going to the TV, one going to the projector, still getting this issue of if there's a HDMI connected to both at the same time, it will not be able to send a signal to either without causing an issue, and it's like constant. You just simply cannot use it. As soon as you unplug one of those HDMI cables, it's fine. It doesn't matter what HDMI cable I use. It doesn't matter whether it's a super expensive one or some cheap ass crap. Whether it's a 2.1 or just a standard HDMI lead. It doesn't matter on the length. It doesn't matter if I set it on the settings in the receiver to auto detect, as in trying to figure out which channel it should be outputting on, or whether I should dictate which channel it should just output on. Regardless of whether I do any of those, if there's two HDMI cables connected to the two outputs of that receiver amp, it'll crap out. I found a workaround, and the workaround is I have one output sent to a high quality HDMI dual output, sort of not splitter so much, but it can well, yeah, it is a dual output splitter. But it can send both signals at the same time in 4K HDR and so on. It cost me about 150 odd quid. And things got a little bit sort of gnarly in terms of dealing with Denon support. They kept on telling me that their technicians are dealing with it and they are aware of my problem, and that they will be in contact in sort of due course. That due course went on for a long time, and then they would close the ticket. This is how you deal with something you cannot answer. You just close the ticket and hope it goes away. And I just thought, no, this isn't right. I shouldn't have to spend a lot of money on an amp, the 6400 initially, then the 6700. Both have the same problem, and then have Denon just basically ignore me. So I wrote to them again saying, look, it's now been 6 months. You've had plenty of time to sort the problem. There's been a couple, or at least one firmware upgrade since. The issue is still there. It hasn't gone away. You know, they're not some sort of tiny outfit. You know, Denon are huge. And they create, you know, there's Marantz as well. And yet they refuse to admit that there's a problem. And I think the reason they refuse to admit that there's a problem is because they know that possibly there's going to be a recall. And this has been going on, you know, if it's in the 6400, it's probably sort of endemic within all those amps. You know, maybe that is the thing. Maybe they just want it to be ignored, because most people don't connect to both outputs. Most just tend to use one. This is what I want you to try. If you have a 6400 or any of last year's Denon amps, what I want you to do is to get 2 HDMI leads and connect them to your outputs, and then tell me what happens. And I want to know if you're having this same issue. Do you have a 6400 or any model from last year, 2020, from Denon or Marantz, because they share a lot of the same sort of DNA? Have you, or do you have this problem? Or have you found now that you have this problem when you try and use both outputs at the same time? Let me know, because I think there's a real case here that Denon are trying to ignore. I'm not just saying that because I'm a bit pissed with them. I'm saying that because as a consumer, I shouldn't have to, or anyone shouldn't have to deal with issues like this, where basically I am being ignored, or anyone should be ignored, simply because they cannot solve the problem and they want it to go away. Let me know your thoughts. Give me a thumbs up if it pleases you, or a thumbs down. Doesn't matter, it's your opinion, it's fine. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell, and I'll see you next time. Take good care.